Well then, I might as well talk about the very few non-Nintendo things in this episode. It happens, you get a lot of Nintendo stuff. Maybe we'll get another episode that doesn't have any Nintendo stuff one of these days. I don't know. Anyways, first off, I got this. This is, of course, a Model 2 Sega Saturn controller. Now, I've had one of these things for 4 years, when I got my Model 2 Saturn. The thing is, problem with the one I had, which is this one right here, I'm not sure if you can tell. I really hope the camera's focused. If not, I'm sure you can tell that, well, the Sega Saturn logo on the controller is faded, pretty much almost wiped out, and I fucking hate that with a fucking passion. It's goddamn ugly. It's just, I don't know what sort of fucking, shit happened to this, but yeah, it's gone. The logo's almost pretty much wiped out. I didn't really like that. So you know what? Here we are all these years later, and I finally got one that doesn't have the logo wiped out. And on top of that, this one just has a better condition D-pad. The only problem were the A, B, C, X, Y, Z buttons. They were inferior. So I basically took the face buttons from this controller and put them on here. As for this Model 2 controller, I'll probably trade this in and see if I can, use it to get some money off of, say, another Model 2 Saturn controller or a Saturn 3D controller, maybe even a Sega Saturn Racing Wheel, I don't know. But in any case, it's really awesome to have this, it just feels so much better. Again, now I have, like, the ultimate Model 2 Saturn controller. It's fucking awesome. Very happy to have this. I guess the only other Sega thing you'll see here is, this. This is NHL 2K on the Dreamcast. I kind of had a, desire to sort of get this, like, for a little bit, just because I have NBA 2K and NFL 2K on the Dreamcast. I'm like, hey, why not get NHL 2K, the 3 2Ks that were on the Dreamcast, or at least the 3 2Ks that got, were just simply NHL, were just simply NHL, NFL, NBA 2K, because sure, there's like Tennis 2K2 or World Series Baseball 2K1, things like that. Just basically this sort of style and packaging and whatnot. I don't know, it's kind of hard to describe. So we did a watch us play on this actually, and the game itself, it's fine. It's of course your standard simulation hockey. I just think it would have been kind of cool to have another hockey game. Play one with the Sega Dreamcast controller and whatnot. I played like 3 games of this, and then there was that one multiplayer game we did. I don't know. Maybe I'll play like one more game and then put the game down for quite a bit. It's a good game, it functions really well. It's just that, again, like, the same day we also played Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey, and that was just so much more fun. Just because, obviously this is more realistic, and Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey is more arcade-like. It's just how it goes. But in terms of, realistic simulation sports games, this one gets the job done. I'm kind of surprised that there was no NHL 2K1 at all, like, on any system. They just... I think, like, they said on SegaRetro.com or whatever, they said, oh, there wasn't an NHL 2K1 because they wanted to take a break to hype up the release of NHL 2K2. So, yeah, there you go. Let's see, on the PS3, we got FIFA Soccer 12. Yes, more sports games. Kind of got this for the fuck of it, Philippe likes this one, A lot of people, I think, actually like FIFA 12. I think FIFA 12 is actually a really good entry in the series. And, who wouldn't like it with, this guy just, like, fucking screaming on the cover and whatnot. And also, like, the little picture in the background of the stadium, just good cover art. And, I guess a pretty good game overall. Haven't played much of it, but, I can dig a good soccer game, whether it's simulation or, arcade-like. And, of course, hey, just another entry into this goddamn FIFA series. Here you go. Maybe we'll do a watch us play on this. I don't know. And on the PS4, I got Redout Lightspeed Edition. I got this, like, the 10th of October, and, well, now I'm talking about it now. Yay. Now, Redout, as you may know, is a futuristic racing game, and it's really cool to actually have a futuristic racing game on a really, really modern console. How about that shit? I remember, like, a year or two ago, I was originally going to get this for the Switch. It was actually going to be one of the first 2 Switch games that I got. I was thinking, okay, when I first get the Switch, I'm going to get Puyo Puyo Tetris and Redout. Well, Redout got delayed many times, and to this day, I don't think it's actually still out yet. So well, here we are now. I got it for the PS4. They had it brand new for $20 behind the case too at Walmart. You know, it wasn't in a bargain bin or even on a shelf out in the open. You had to, of course, you know, ask a guy, hey, open this case up, give me the game. I mean, maybe now it's probably out in a bargain bin or something. But in any case, it's really cool to have, you know. How many times have I fucking said something like that? In any case, it's really cool to have. I don't know. I played a decent amount of this. The thing that had me really worried about this, like other, I guess, futuristic racing games, would be the turning, how there'd be so much problems handling the corners, you'd immediately crash, bang into them, and just absolutely ruin the flow and just of the racing action, and just be something that's really hard, a game that's really hard to get into because of that. Is that the case? Sorta, you know, I do like this steering that they have. I think it, you know, do some combinations with both the joysticks and whatnot when it comes to turning. Very interesting, fast-paced, and just, it's a very mesmerizing game, because like I said earlier, it's just cool to have a futuristic racing game on, well, a really, really freaking modern console. So, yeah, as I also just said, just a mesmerizing game overall to see and play. Good stuff. Pick this one up. Let's see, how long is this? 6 minutes. Okay. Oh, I think I banged the shelf a bit. Alright, let's talk about some Nintendo stuff, quite a bit of it. Let's start off with Nintendo Entertainment System games. Can I do this in order, or I don't know. Let's start off with Jeopardy! 25th Anniversary Edition. Why this? Well, I remember I played the regular Jeopardy, NES Jeopardy, at Fabio's place, because he has that game, and I was like, you know what, let's go the extra mile. Let's get the 25th Anniversary Edition. It's pretty much the exact same game, except, you know, they changed the color of, like, the background where, you know, where the fucking players are, and, of course, there's just different questions. So, yeah, it's literally the exact same game, engine mod, all that shit. How is it? Well, even if you were a kid playing this back when this first released, you wouldn't really get it. This would probably be more so for adults, you know, in, like, the fucking early 90s, basically. So, yeah, it's pretty hard to kind of get these. I mean, some of them you'll get, like, there's some Disney-related ones, and, you know, there's other things. There's very few things that you'll actually get. Again, a lot of this shit's like, I don't fucking know what this is. I don't know what that is, you know? It just, that's the case with Jeopardy, and that's what kind of makes it a struggle to play more often than not. It's an interesting specimen, and I'm glad to own it, but it's probably going to be the only Jeopardy game I ever buy. With the exception, of course, Jeopardy on the Nintendo 64. Let's see. We have a Side Pocket. It's billiards. Of course, Side Pocket is on a few consoles, you know. It's on this, Super Nintendo, Genesis, Game Gear. It's probably also on Game Boy, and, you know, it's billiards. This is an interesting one. It seems like you're basically set with, like, 4 rounds of pool or something like that. 4 different games. You play against yourself. It doesn't seem, you're not playing against any opponents. So basically your goal is just to sink, you know, the balls in the pocket. You know, like fucking pool. Thing is, you're not really given a specific order to. It's not like, oh, hit the 1 ball, hit the 2 ball. It seems like you can hit any ball at any time whenever you want, which is cool that you have that freedom. I mean, I don't understand the exactly rules of billiards and whatnot, but that's just, I'm saying that's an interesting take that they have on this one. But, you know, you're given, like, only a set amount of turns, you know, to actually go into it. And because, of course, naturally, because it's billiards, it's a fucking RNG fest, you can't exactly win, especially considering that your turns carry on to the next game. So if you took a lot of time on the first game, you'll only probably get, like, 3 or 4 shots, you know, for the second game. Or more, depending on how well you did the previous game. It's just, you can't really win, unfortunately. And it's a shame, because it's probably the best pool game on the NES. It's definitely well made, but I imagine even with the Genesis and Super Nintendo versions being better, I'm not sure if they're that much more forgiving, because like I said, it's an RNG fest that you can't really win. And, well, because I wasn't really quite satisfied with that, here we are with some more billiards action. This is Break Time, the National Pool Tour. This is a late release for the NES, somewhat uncommon, so it's kind of cool. Also a game nobody really talks about. It's in amazing shape, I will say. I played a decent amount of this one, too. you know, I spent a decent amount of time trying to win a single game in the 9-ball mode. Then there's, of course, the National Pool Tour where you face off, I think, like 5 opponents. But again, because it's billiards, it's a fucking RNG fest that you can't win. Especially in this game's case where I think the CPU just kind of, well, pretty much almost always wins. And, you know, it seems like there's way too many instances where you're more so helping the CPU and whatnot. Even in the worst looking of situations, the CPU almost always fucking gets, you know, a ball in, which of course leads to them having another turn, and you get fucked over, and again, you can't win, because again, RNG fest, all that shit. It plays okay, I suppose, you know, it's no fucking championship pool, which is pretty much god-awful, you know, on NES. So, yeah. In fact, I think I said this with Golf Grand Slam on the NES. I think this is one of those games that most people buy because they want a complete NES collection, or they buy it just because they saw it cheap and they want to get as many NES games as I got. I'm probably one of the few people that actually bought this game because I wanted to try it out and play it. Or not, maybe there's actually more. There are a lot of fans of the NES. I don't know. But whatever, interesting specimen to have. And last one, probably the best one, Guerrilla War. It's a, you know, a run-and-gun shooter and akin to, like, Akari Warriors and Commando. It's easy as fuck, because you're given infinite lives, infinite continues, all that. You always spawn right where you died, and if you die or get a game over on the boss, the boss still has, like, the same amount of damage that it previously took. So yes, it's a very easy, no fucks given game. It's well made though, you know, controls well, music's great, graphics, all that. It's just, again, it's easy. I mean, you can replay value, you know, play it once by yourself, play it once with the second player. You know, it's sort of it's like a $30+ game. I don't know if it's really worth that, unless you're crazy like me who was just that curious about it. I remember I first saw this in one of Pat the NES Punk's NES Marathon streams, so yeah, then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get this, and well, here we are now. I believe it was the 2016 live stream. Yeah, it was, wasn't it? But yeah, interesting game. I guess it's cool to have a more higher-end NES game, but you know, yeah, like I said, it's very easy and it doesn't last too long, but it is well made. So, yeah. Okay, 12 minutes. Oh, of course, how about some Game Boy games? Baseball, one of the Game Boy launch titles. Now I just need a Yakuman, a Japan-only game. It's Mahjong, and I'll have all the original Game Boy launch titles. It's baseball. It's kind of slow. I mean, I guess it's cool that you can control your fielders, unlike NES Black Box Baseball. And you know what? Hey, Mario's on the cover, and Mario and Luigi are mentioned players, so yeah, this is a Mario game. That's another cool little bonus. But again, it is kind of slow and annoying, which could probably hinder your reaction time and whatnot, and just reaction time in general from, you know, going base to base and whatnot, and hoping to God that one of the fielders doesn't throw a ball, getting you an out, and you couldn't do anything about it because it was too slow or some shit like that. You know, you get what I mean. I feel like that's probably an occurrence. I didn't play much of this. I played a single game of it, but it ended before the 9th inning because I fucking got my ass handed to me really badly. You know, the thing is, like, this could have been a lot better, you know. I mean, I'm not sure how many baseball games there are on the original Game Boy, but as the rule of thumb goes, the later a game is released in the system's lifespan, the more likely it is to be somewhat impressive than games earlier on. But for fuck's sakes, man, the hardware didn't magically get better over time. Sure, there were things that were discovered, but the hardware was always that more powerful. So why couldn't one of the first, if not the first, baseball game on the Game Boy be a technical marvel, a technical showpiece, a masterpiece of what the Game Boy could do, instead of something that's kind of annoying like this, you know? I just don't understand. There's really not really much excuse for it to turn out, especially considering I fucking dropped it. That's a first, I guess, but it's fine. You know, obviously wasn't hurt. But yeah, it was a launch title for the Game Boy, so it wouldn't have been made more sense to put as much effort into this. It couldn't have been that hard, you know. Again, like I said, whatever. And then Motocross Maniacs, a game by Konami, still under the Ultra Games publish. There were, of course, there was, of course, Motocross Maniacs 2 on the Game Boy Color and Motocross Maniacs Advance on the Game Boy Advance. I want to get all three of them at some point. They're fun little motorcycle games. They're kind of like, basically, 2D Trials Fusion, though maybe not as much the course and background and design as Trials Fusion. It's basically that kind of, thing. I guess beating this game would probably just win all the races, which is probably something easy to do, so that's something I really ought to do, because this is a cool little game and mini-series that lasted on Nintendo's systems, Game Boy systems, I should say. Okay, Nintendo 64 games, I guess. Actually, again, I keep checking how long this is, because it's very important. Yeah, Nintendo 64 games, going after the full set, yada yada yada. Let's not waste any more time. This is a Chokukan Knight Pro Yakyu King. It says King of Pro Baseball on the box, but that's not what it is. Here's the cartridge, of course. Now, I wanted to get this game in box, specifically because I remember in Pat the NES Punk's collection video that he made back in 2013, this was something he randomly pulled off the shelf, saying, oh, this is a Japanese Nintendo 64 baseball game. I don't remember where I got this from, but it has these little characters that kind of look like Wii baseball. He said something like that. And, for a while, I didn't actually know what this game was, until eventually I did, and I think because of that, I was like, you know what, we gotta get this in box, in honor for that occasion, because that's how I found out about this fucking game. And it's a dirt cheap game, common as fuck, even in box. And you know what? I even got a really good deal on this. It was like $6 and $6 shipping. So that's pretty fucking sweet. This was one of the first Nintendo 64 games ever. It was a 1996 release. And yeah, how was it? It's really good, actually. I think this is actually the most fun I've had with a baseball game on the console. Is it the best baseball game on the console? Maybe, maybe not, I don't know, but it's really fucking, well made and good. I just like the gameplay, the atmosphere, again, I do like the ways the stadiums look, you get these cool visuals of a night sky, and pretty good looking graphics for Nintendo 64, this is an impressive, neat little game for sure. It also had a sequel, which I'm kind of worrying may or may not be a really hard game to find. I don't know, there's not many copies of it I've seen for sale. But in any case, this is pretty cool to have. I'd say if you're a baseball fan, definitely pick this up. Break the tabs on your N64 to play Japanese games. So, yeah. Pretty cool game, actually. I was surprisingly fun. Another sports game that was surprisingly fun, Japan only for the N64, was this. J-League 11 Beat 1997, a soccer game by Hudson. So, you know what? That adds some quality to it. Again, another really fucking good game. It just plays well. The music's really good. The graphics are, charming and colorful. Soccer action's really good. You got a decent amount of modes. You can't go wrong with this, alright? You really can't. This is a very, well-made, good game. Of course, it's got, quite the announcer going like, goal kick! Yellow card! Yeah, I don't know. That was objectively the worst part of this fucking video. I'm sorry I said that, but, giving an example, trying to think of more things to say other than praising this really well-made soccer game exclusive to Japan on the Nintendo 64. Look at that cover art. It's just like a team sitting together, group photo, the stadium that they most likely played in all the goddamn time. Good stuff, this game. Here we have two games. I might as well talk about them both, because I actually got these both in a lot. This is Nushisuri 64, and this is Nushisuri 64 Shio Kazuni Noti. Man, do I have things to say about these? So both these games are part of the, River King series, Legend of the River King series, something like that. No, I don't think, I don't believe Hudson developed these, or, Natsume or whatever. Yeah, my mistake. I'm sorry, I just went blank there for a second. Well, what do I describe about these? I don't really have much to say about this one other than played around with it. It looks very PlayStation 1-like. You encounter some snakes and some rats. You throw, food at them. They leave. They plays a little tune. You go around fishing. I don't think I was able to catch a single fish in this, but then again, didn't really try because I didn't really run into much. Going to towns, buildings, all that. And, well, the same could be very much said for this game. It's more the same. Is this any better? Maybe, but the very interesting thing about this game is that this game right here was actually the very last game that Fingamer needed to complete his Nintendo 64 collection. And, that's pretty interesting. Of course, he got it in box, so it did cost a little more. And, well, ever since then, I've looked this game up for a handful of years and whatnot. I've seen a couple. I haven't seen it go for, stupidly high prices. I don't know how rare of a game it actually is. There's a Nintendo 64 rarity guide that mentions, like numbers out of 10 for how rare a game is for all 388 games, and they put this on the 7 scale. Nothing goes above 8 though. There's only 2 games that go above 8 on that scale, which are Bomberman 64 2001 and Bangai-O. So I think that's really cool to have, just because this is probably a really hard to find game, and again, for that tidbit that this was the last game Fingamer needed, that's what makes it stick out more. Game itself, well, I think I might have played a little more about this than the other one. But again, it's more the same, except there was like a playground in this. And there was like this little game where you face against this woman with these tiles on a board. I wasn't like... Yeah, it was a thing. NBA In The Zone 99. Now I have all 3 In The Zone games on the Nintendo 64. This is not an uncommon or rare game, but I haven't seen a ton of them on eBay, so... I was like, you know what, let's do it. Let's get it and complete the 3 In The Zone games. I don't know how these compare to other basketball games on the console. Are they some of the best? Are they some of the worst? I don't know. The NBA courtside games on the N64 are really good. This, well, it's another one. It's by Konami. I've said many times before, Konami's made a whole lot of shit on the N64. Okay, we gotta hurry this up a bit. SD Hiryo no Ken Densetsu. It's a fighting game. This was one of the very, very last Nintendo 64 games I ever heard of. And the thing is, when you look at the cover art, it may seem familiar to you. In fact, it's part of this series, the part of this series, Flying Dragon. What the hell was this series called? Hiryo no Ken, I think? Yeah. But yeah, we of course got this entry, and then there's this one right here, which is not the same game at all. It's similar, kind of, like the menus have the same music and sound effects, and the playstyle seems very similar. I really wish I could actually tell you differences between this and that, other than this one, of course, has, the SD mode and the more serious, like, virtual character mode, whereas this one, doesn't. But they're very similar games, but in any case, it's cool, another... fighting game. I mean, hey, this was a pretty good game, so I guess this one is too, Fighting game fans, here you go. And lastly, Revolt. This one would take a while with me, because I remember I bought this on the Dreamcast back in 2015, and I thought the game was fine, but, hey, even in 2015 I could have got this on the N64, but didn't, and wasn't really a priority, but I was like, well, fuck it, why not, Might as well get some games that aren't necessarily a priority too, while you're trying to get games on the N64 that are a priority to get, Is for the game itself, well, it's a decent version, but again, I guess the Dreamcast version is the way to go, even if I'm not too crazy over Revolt. So, yeah.